How are you, friends? Welcome to this new episode. Today we will have a different video where on one hand we will learn about something that happened in the province of Tucumán, where something really attention-grabbing occurred, and up to this day there is no explanation for it, and we also don't know if it has anything to do with a local legend. And finally, we're going to move on to 4 more cases of different people who have nothing to do with each other, where we'll see videos and photos with certain anomalies. And I'd like you to watch, listen, and tell me what you think about them. And please don't go anywhere, because in a few minutes I'm going to tell you some big news about the channel. Something that's coming up soon, it's just a few days away, and you can't miss it. Today you'll discover what it's all about. Can you send me your paranormal story to the WhatsApp number that's on the screen right now? The number and length of voice messages you send are not important. You can add photos, videos, or anything else you think is necessary to make your story as complete as possible. Then I'll review all this material, and if I have any questions, I'll get in touch with you. Friends, now I really hope you don't miss a minute of this episode. In Tucumán, just like in every province of Argentina, there are legends and stories that are passed down by word of mouth. And thanks to this, they persist over time, becoming part of the culture of each place. But I realized something. There are also many stories that are never known, that no one tells, and that are often lost in the memories and fears of each person. Today you're going to learn about something that surely no one knows and, until now, has no explanation. I want to tell you in the next few minutes about a paranormal experience we had one night. It was something that not only scared us, but also left us thinking a lot about why this happened. What was the reason? And what if maybe it belongs to a legend we don't know about? It happened to us a few years ago. We were at home with my brother doing some work. We had finished. It was early, but since it was winter, night had already fallen. Anyway, since we had to buy some things for dinner, we got on the motorcycle and left the house. We're from San Miguel de Tucumán, and what I'm about to tell you happened near the bridge that crosses the Rio Suro Canal. The thing is, it was a normal night, the street was really quiet, and we were riding the motorcycle without any problems. In fact, we had taken this route countless times before, by car, walking, on a motorcycle, or when we were younger, even by bicycle. So we're talking about an area that's very familiar to us and where nothing strange had ever happened to us before. At one point, before crossing the bridge, that's when it all began. I was riding the motorcycle and I started to hear a strange noise. It was like a rattling sound. I'm not sure if it's clear what I mean. But to be a bit more specific, it wasn't a motorcycle, a car, or a truck. It was something else, and I never imagined we would see something like that. Right before crossing the bridge, this noise kept getting louder and louder. And when we were just about to cross, we met. We saw that there was a car in front of us. Just like I'm telling you, it was an old car, one of those with wooden wheels, pulled by a horse. And it was exactly the one responsible for that strange noise we had heard. This noise wasn't just from the car with its wheels and the horse's gallop, but it was also mixed with the shouts that the man on top kept making without stopping. Apparently, it was a man. He had long hair, we couldn't make out his features, and I admit that the area was a bit dark. But his shouts were extremely loud and strange, as if his voice was doubled or something like that. Up until now, and aside from the strangeness of the entire scene, it could have been a person in a cart who was going somewhere. And their behavior is a separate issue that could be part of another discussion. From a crazy person, or you can find all types of people on the street, including drunks. But the reality is that we realized something else was going on. This wasn't normal. At that moment, purely out of impulse and instinct, I threw myself against the left side. It was almost certain the object would hit us as it came straight toward us. At that moment, they were paving the side street that bordered this canal, and there was a pretty big mound of dirt, almost a meter high, precisely to prevent cars from passing and to allow the machines to work normally. And what happened there was tremendous. I couldn't go any further than this mound. And it was at that moment that we saw this cart driver. How he turned the cart, aiming it straight at us. And at no point did he stop making those screams. All I could do there was speed up and try to move forward close to the hill, but the cart came right at us. Practically, the wheel, which was huge and made of wood, brushed against us. I was worried about my brother in the back, but luckily he was unharmed. Therefore, we managed to dodge it. We almost fell, but then something impossible happened. This car had nowhere to go through. Let's remember that there was this dirt hill I told you about. It was coming at a considerable speed and maneuvering it was literally impossible. We immediately looked back, and although it seems totally surreal, we saw how it went up over this mound of dirt and then disappeared. It was gone. And not only that, the silence in the place was now deathly. You couldn't hear anything at all, not even the wind itself. The two of us were there, looking around and not understanding what had happened. We were very scared, primarily due to the perilous situation we had just experienced, but finally, when we came face to face with something that was undoubtedly supernatural,
I saw it with you. It grabbed the edge, lifted into the air, and that was it. There was no sound you couldn't hear when the car fell. It should have been a massacre between the horse and just one thing. As it approached, the object rose up, grabbed the edge, lifted into the air, and then vanished. I told my brother. We got off the motorcycle scared, and I asked him, "Where is the cart?" Because it didn't disappear, there was no more noise or anything. So I told him, "Pablo," I said, "you know what? The cart fell into the canal, and we got closer to see. It had railings, the bridge, and I looked at the canal and didn't see anything. I crossed the street to the other side of the bridge to see if the cart hadn't moved, let's say, if it hadn't gone with the current, since that canal had a little water. And there was nothing. There was no dust, there was no noise. I walked up to the edge to see, and there was nothing. The cart wasn't there, the horse wasn't there, the cart driver wasn't there was nothing.
We didn't know what to do. We wanted to go back home more than anything, but we were already on our way and we needed to do that shopping I mentioned before. So we continued. Then we took Roca Avenue, where the university complex is, and where there's also a sanctuary on the outside along the avenue. But actually, there are two, one for Gauchito Gil and the other for Difunta Correa. I don't know if that night was special, if somehow for some reason we were more willing to see a little further beyond. But after what happened to us with this car, we went through another moment without explanation. We were passing by, the sidewalk was completely empty, there wasn't a soul on the street, and we stopped right in front of these two shrines. Why? I'm not sure, but I had to do it. Something unbelievable occurred. Everything was in total darkness. He talked about the shrines and the offerings that people leave. But suddenly, while we were both there watching, a light appeared inside the shrine of the Difunta Correa. We just stared without speaking, without understanding, because, like I told you, everything was dark, there was no one there, and just like that, this light appeared. We got off the motorcycle, walked a few steps, and realized that this light was coming from two candles that had been lit. And we were completely sure that when we arrived, they were out. This was incredible because I felt it as a sign. It was a very particular way of confirming that someone had protected us. Minutes before, on that bridge. We stayed for a few minutes in front of the sanctuary. The candles went out on their own and we continued. On the way back on that bridge, we didn't see anything at all. And so you understand, the experience was so intense for us that from that moment until today, more than 20 years have passed. I still thank the deceased Correa for having protected us that night from that car, which we never understood why it appeared before us.
And ever since that event, every time I pass by that place, I make the sign of the cross and give them thanks.
Now we'll move on to the first video along with this. Before watching, let's hear a short testimony from the person who provided this material, telling us a little bit what's all this about.
I work at an orthopedic store. We have a warehouse, and in the warehouse, my twin and he are with the manager. Well, every now and then, from time to time. Sometimes he finds merchandise lying around, like he goes and finds a bunch of stuff. It can happen that things fall, but last time, like 5 or 6 things had fallen in different places. It's not like it was in the same area, in the same gallery, but everything was kind of scattered around He's the only one in charge of going in there. I've also been talking to a coworker here at my job, and she's felt things like that too. Like sometimes she hears someone calling her or hears noises, but she doesn't really pay much attention to it. No, last time two things happened to me. The first was when I was in the surgery area and I was talking with some guys who had come in and with some coworkers. And well, while I was there, I looked over to where we have to put the pencils. We have like a little jar where they put the pirums and the little scissors. I swear I saw a pair of scissors move in a strange way. I can't show you how it moved, but it was really odd. It's like it jumped forward. Then it turned to its original spot, you know?
The next case also corresponds to a video where, apparently and at first glance, nothing strange happens, but actually something quite unusual does happen. So you can understand what happened. This video was filmed by a little girl who was simply talking to and playing with her baby sister, who was only 4 months old. An important detail to remember, and at a certain moment you can hear something that really isn't normal and that scares this little girl. That's why she stops the video at that moment. So watch, mainly listen, and then tell me what you think.
We're going to go on the branches while we convert, yes.
We're going to branch out while it's converting. Now
we're going to listen to the testimony of a person who tells us about some of the many things that happen in a house. And finally, we'll see a photo that would be the proof that all of this is apparently real.
What this guy Pablo was telling me is that this house is the one where he lived as a child with his mother. The mother lives in the house today and says that things keep happening to her, and she takes it as if it's protecting her. She hears noises and feels things. Since he and his sister were young children. He says he was watching television, and sometimes they would look toward the bathroom, and there was a woman all dressed in white combing her hair. She would look at them, smile, and then disappear.
Finally, we have additional footage from a security camera, where you can see something very strange happening with this family's dog while it's in the yard at night. Before and during the video, we'll hear the testimony of the person who sent this material, recounting what he knows, saw, and was told. About all this, what happened? I have 4 dogs.
In the back, I have a bull, which is a mix between a Dogo and a Rottweiler, a 10-year-old dog, and a recently acquired dog, which is an Italian Mastiff, also known as Cane, Brindle Corso Dark Coat Brindle Leighton. She is now 1 year and 2 months old. She's a big dog, over 40 kilos, but she is still a puppy. Anyway, let me tell you, about a month and a half ago, during the previous rainstorm, around midnight. While I was about to go to bed, I heard a puppy crying, a little puppy that kept crying and crying. The sound was coming from the window. Oh, my window faces the backyard where I can see the dogs, or the back of my house. I don't have a puppy, so I decided to get up. When I got up, the puppy had stopped whining. I opened the door to find Bull, the 10-year-old dog, there. And since it was raining, she was getting a bit wet, and it caught my attention that she was alone, which was strange because the other one wasn't there. They were always together. Well, I let her in so that I could go to the doghouse in front of my house, which is made of concrete. And the other one, the new one, let's say the Cane Corso, wasn't there. So, well, I went and lay down again. She was in the doghouse. A rivalry between them over choosing the spot. But, well, it's strange. Here I go again, hearing a puppy that's crying. Well, what happened? I heard Corso's face is in a fight. When I looked out the window, I saw her. Half of her body in the rain, and the other half, meaning her head, front legs, and chest, in the rain. Looking further inside. At the back of the doghouse, the dog seemed to want to go out, but couldn't. It's going to go out. The doghouse shakes as the dog inside stands up, falls, turns around, and gets into a fight lasting for several seconds. Will you watch the video closely? The black dog is hard to see. She peeks out and does exactly the same thing. The second time she does it, she drags her back into the doghouse. You can't just drag a big dog like that. And with her front paws, she pulls a top, drags a top. Something is dragging her. You can tell she's being dragged, and that's when the mess started. I yell at her from the window, go out, walk around, open the door and call her, and she comes running when I call. She came in and got into my bed, all wet, she was shaking. Well, with a flashlight and a stick in hand, I go to the doghouse to see what's inside. Nothing, up to this day, nothing. I saw it on the security camera footage. I'm going to watch the video. I had a conversation with some Paraguayan workers at the house about the lobizon folklore. I'm unsure about the perception and existence of lobizons in their culture, so since you're knowledgeable, apparently aware. What is this? What is it? He says. What's the black thing? The black thing is my dog, I tell him. I'll show you the dog's coat. I showed her. She's huge. What could drag her backwards? Then he tells me, look, he says that in Paraguay, in the countryside, there's a little creature that looks like a, what's it called? A gnome or something like that. That chases the livestock. I mean, the cows, the goats, and when it catches them, it pinches or bites them. The cows freeze, they don't move. You can't get them to go forward or backward. They don't move, they don't even complain. From what the Nyomo or whatever it is doing to them, it's doing exactly the same thing. The dog. They grab it from behind, it freezes. That's why half its body is left out in the rain, because there's no reason for it to get wet. We're not doing anything either. It's not a dog that goes crazy, you know, if it doesn't want to.
The rain.
And then it wants to come in and it fights. It's something that she is seeing.
Friends, thank you for making it to the end. Remember that this Saturday at 10 o'clock at night, we'll have a truly unmissable video where an important infectious disease doctor from Buenos Aires will share a lot of experiences with us, each one better than the last. Remember this Saturday at 10 post meridian? And now, thank you very much for making it this far, and I'm going to tell you the news I mentioned at the beginning. Starting this Wednesday at 10 o'clock at night, there will be a special video, the first of many more to come until the end of the year. Many of you still don't know about it because I only mentioned it a few days ago on Instagram, but since many of you don't follow me there, you haven't heard about it yet. We're going to have a new segment on the channel dedicated to interviews, where we'll get to know a lot of people, some famous, others not so much. And that's what's interesting, because we're going to hear a lot of stories told in the first person, and most importantly, we're going to learn from them. A lot of questions about topics that have come up on the channel and still don't have a clear answer. Remember, this coming Wednesday at 10 o'clock at night is the first episode of this interview segment. And I hope all of you can join me. Friends, thank you very much once again. And now I send a big hug to all of you.